Hey YouTube, what is up? I've been playtesting the Dark Illusion, Dark Magician support that's coming out. I guess in Japan it's April 9th. In America, I think we're getting it sometime in August. So this support hasn't even been released in Japan yet. But we know what the cards look like, we know what the cards do, and they've been released on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, Dev Pro, Dual Network before it got fucked up by Konami. And I've been playtesting it, and in my opinion, it's a really fun deck to play, but it does have the potential to break. The game you're seeing now, I don't lose, but big shocker, but it's not, I guess, my worst duel. This is a duel where I did pretty decent, and I got the combo pieces I needed, basically getting Eternal Soul to hand, and also having the Dark Magician Circle, or Magician Circle, whatever you wish to call the card. Those two cards are great together. They work really, really well together. But if you don't draw or don't have the ability to add those cards to your hand, it can really, really hurt. You basically play Dark Magicians as a response deck. I mean, you're not storming the field immediately on your turn. You're actually setting up for your opponent's turns, and then you're basically countering their plays as they go, using Dark Magician Circle or Magician Circle, whatever you want to call it, on your opponent's turn to banish a card they have after you summon a Dark Magician off Eternal Soul is a pretty nice combo. You basically banish whatever they're doing, summon a 2500 monster, and then next turn, if you don't want to summon another Dark Magician, you can add like Dark Magic Attack, 1000 Knives to hand, and just destroy a monster, destroy all the back row your opponent has, pendulum scales and all. It's really, really fun, and it's a really enjoyable deck for me to play from a nostalgia standpoint and from, I guess, a slightly meta-relevant standpoint, but I feel like this deck is not consistent enough. And when I saw Blue Eyes in the OCG, I saw that some people were making a combination deck between Blue Eyes and Felgrand as a sort of synergy, like a way to make the decks a little better, a little more competitive, and the decks worked really well together. The archetypes kind of meshed together really well, and I was trying to think what that would be for Dark Magician. Obviously, there's, certain engines that have been teched into decks in the past, like Light Sworns being teched into Chaos Dragons, stuff like that, or even a Burning Abyss engine people put in Chaos Dragons way back when. I playtested that too. And I think Dark Magicians is going to be a deck that really doesn't have all that many options of a, I guess, engine or another archetype to kind of mesh with it, but one that's been knocking around my head, and I'm going to try and playtest this, and I want to hear your opinions on what you think might work well in Magicians. I know Daigusto Emerald's a good card, but I don't mean just like Insta-Fusion into Norden, bring out Daigusto Emerald, special summon Dark Magician. I mean like actual plays besides Insta-Fusion, or like a deck that works really well in Dark Magicians that allows you to not only use Dark Magicians more effectively, but also get to them quicker, or deck thin, or something similar to that. And for me, that deck is Red Eyes, not only because it's rank 7 Darks, not only because Yugi and Joey have been friends for the longest time, but also because it actually has some use in this deck. You can use Red Eyes as a draw engine thanks to Cards of the Red Stone. You send a Red Eyes from your hand to the graveyard, draw 2 cards. You can get Red Eyes to your hand pretty easy. You could also use Cards of the Redstone to send a Red Eyes from your deck to the graveyard after you send one from your hand to the graveyard, so it helps you deck thin not to draw the Red Eyes after you're done with the Cards of the Redstone. You could also use something like Sacred Sword of the 7 Stars, where you banish one level 7 monster from your hand or face up from your side of the field, and then you draw 2 cards. You can banish the Magician of Dark Illusion, which is that other level 7 that's going to be released in the Dark Illusion, or you can banish a Dark Magician. You could bring out a Dark Magician with Eternal Soul. You can banish a Red Eyes, and you draw 2 cards, which really does help, especially if you combo it with Dark Magician Circle or Magician Circle, whatever you want to call it. You get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reorganize those 3 cards in any order you choose, then Sacred Sword of the 7 Stars, and draw the 2 cards you want most out of those 3. That's some pretty broken stuff. That's just some combos I've been coming up with, and I don't think it's set in stone that this is obviously going to be like, the end-all be-all way to get Dark Magicians to be a little more consistent, but I thought of it as a nice, fun way to get Dark Magicians to be consistent that also might be relevant in the future. Obviously, it would require more fine-tuning, and there's going to be some crazy plays people are going to find out once Dark Magician support actually drops, but this is just me preemptively thinking ahead of what I think would be a fun way to tech in some other stuff into the Magician deck, similar to how Blue Eyes has Felgrand. I think it'd be cool to somehow involve Red Eyes with Dark Magician, because there is actually some functionality there. But that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click subscribe.